Guys, we're back with the Screen Team. We're doing science fiction for this show, and this next movie, considered by a lot of people, fans, critics, they consider this film to be the all-time greatest science fiction film of all time. I would disagree with them. That goes to Star Wars.
Okay.
But Hardin's here to tell me why I'm wrong and why 2001: A Space Odyssey is so good.
Let me ask most people, would you think which is better, sort of a lighthearted Western theme shoot 'em up, or a true artistic masterpiece, a true classic? Yes.
Let's go with the Western, please.
Okay, well, and that's okay. I thought the original Star Wars was a pretty good little movie. Now, Empire Strikes Back was my favorite, but I really liked Empire. No, I did. I watched the original Star Wars, and I thought, it's a kind of a fun movie, but, this is probably not going to be that big, and, of course, I was as dead wrong can be.
Yeah.
But now, The Empire Strikes Back, that really hooked it. That was the best one of the group.
I've seen 2001. I'd say I'll probably watch it every 10 years. I've seen it maybe about 3 times. And every time I watch it, this is what happens.
Well, the first time I watched, my wife had seen it. She said, I want you to watch this. Let me tell you, though, it's long, slow, and quiet. But it's different than certainly different than the last 2 movies I've helped review. It's one of the most unique movies ever made. It's one of the few movies that transcends what we think of movie making and becoming true art, true classic themes. And it's really not, it's in a different, I think the last 2 I've helped with, Nashville and then Jaws. Mm-hmm. And even 2001 goes into a different classification than either of those 2.
Why? Why is it so special? I mean, in the beginning of this film, we got a bunch of cavemen. They're throwing up bones and stuff, and all of a sudden we go into space, and there's these 2 astronauts. They're like, hey, what's going on? Nothing. Okay. Hey, what's going on, computer? Oh, no, I'm just going to be evil for the next 45 minutes.
Don't listen. Watch the movie. Yes, there were apes that throwing things up in the air, but it did have a little more than that.
Oh, so there was more meaning behind it.
Yeah, when I first turned it on, I saw these kind of humanoid-like apes and what's going on, and they're doing their little conflict, and then a monolith. You got to like the monolith. What is it? It's a big rectangle, but it's weird, and they touch it, and then Have you ever wondered how people evolve? Then certain religious people won't like me get too much into that.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden, slowly, humankind evolves however it came about. And we can't just since this is not history of the entire world or universe, we've got to kind of fast forward to 2010.
Okay.
Or 2001, I'm sorry, and get to the space part of it, which we never have gotten to where they've gotten. But how many movies have Johann Strauss, Strauss waltzes, and so forth, and Richard Strauss classical music that have become so synonymous with it? And I know Bugs Bunny had classical music, but and how many movies make you actually think, what is the entire meaning of existence? How do humans fit in the universe? We still are wondering about that. Mm-hmm. What is it? What's out there? What's time? I don't think we know what time is. We struggle with what is time. I read that in '68, when it came out, typically when it was over, half the audience got up and cheered. Half the audience said, "What in the crap was that?"
Sure.
And it wasn't considered that great a classic until almost nearing the 21st century. Then it became all of a sudden elevated beyond the others.
So you're telling me if you and I were in that theater, you would be standing up and clapping, and I would be waking up from my nap. Is that what you were telling me?
I'm not sure what you'd be doing. You might, I would have to nudge you. I don't know if I would be clapping the first time.
Okay.
Because it's like a lot of great movies I've seen, I have to see them 2 or 3 times to really get an idea of what's going on.
And I believe that's really the case with this movie as well. You really need to see it multiple viewings to really get an appreciation for this film.
Do you have anything about hippie music? There's hippie themed in it. All the psychedelic part of it. And the supercomputer, the idea of a supercomputer that can overrule, that was one of the first times that probably was ever done. We know it's not a spoiler, everybody knows it's HAL, you can read about it. So what do you think of HAL, the computer?
Dave? What are you doing, Dave? I'm sleeping, Hal. That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah, just have a glass of wine or take a half a Valium or whatever, and get out of your mindset that everything has to be punch or shoot.
And I don't need that. Listen, I've seen a lot of artistic films. I have, but this one, it's from start to finish, so excruciatingly long and boring. Boring.
Well,
Do you hear me?
It's something boring if you start liking the subject and liking the people in it. Like,
Who am I supposed to like in this film?
I like
the cavemen. Am I supposed to like them?
I like them. When I go back and watch it, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this one cave clan is getting dominated by this other one.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do? They get run off from the water. Well, they figure out you take a stick and you start using a tool.
Yeah.
And you beat the crap out of other people.
Yeah.
And that is almost more like, I think, modern day world than the later part, because that's kind of what people live by now a lot. But
All right, you seem to have a firm grip on this movie. I am just a simple-minded person, so I need some explanation here. Okay, here's a spoiler. So if you haven't seen 2001: Space Odyssey, don't see it. But we're still giving you a spoiler anyway.
Yeah.
At the very end of the film, something happens. I forget. I don't know. They get rid of Hal or whatever, and then at the very end of the film, it shows up at like a moon or a planet, and there's a baby in the planet. What the heck is that?
that's the space child.
Whose space child is that?
I don't think anybody knows, and that's the beauty of it. Nobody knows. That's why this movie will play 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, because we all will still be wondering, who are we? What happens after we die? So that really is, to me, kind of the rebirth after death. Is that the main character that was left and he was reborn? Is that a symbol for humans in general? Once they die, there's a rebirth in the universe of them, or which is it? It can. That's the thing. It can be what you want it to be, but it's it's hope. It's rebirth, and it's the Richard Strauss. Boom, boom. That's.
I'm glad you stopped, because we couldn't afford that if you went any more bars after that.
Oh, that's right.
We would have.
I don't think anybody would get Richard Strauss from that. I don't think anybody would even begin.
All right.
Can I say it's an absolute work of art beyond what? Then some people just have trouble grasping it, but that's okay. That's all right. We all have our place, and there's some things I don't grasp.
Oh my goodness. The movie is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Now, David Bowie did what? A Space Oddity? What was his
Yeah.
that was something different.
I keep checking myself because I keep saying the name wrong, so that's why I keep looking at Hardin like. Am I saying it right? Hardin?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Well, and on the Facebook it was Oddity, and I don't know if that was on purpose or.
It was on purpose. It was a mistake for sure. And I think I might have to give this film another 20 years before I see it again.
Well, and if you haven't seen it, something that gets this much fame and notoriety, and you got to at least try it. Make up your own mind. That's. But it's got to be one of those movies you can't die never having seen. Surely.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
I've
I've done that twice today.
We've got more reviews coming your way next, right here on the Screen Team.